Welcome to the Windows Computer and Technology channel, and I got a few questions about about Windows decline. Some asking me, do I think Windows is going to fade away or go away in the next years? And of course, on a couple of others about, I talked about how the Mac operating system did gain some momentum over the market share that we see. Of course, Microsoft's still very dominant at 70%. Windows is, really out there. So to answer questions that in my perspective of Windows in the future, a lot of people have been saying, well, people are moving to Mac because Windows 11 is a failure, and it has nothing to do with that. I don't think Windows 11, whether it be there or not, we'd be at the same numbers simply with Windows 10. I think it's more of a choice, and some people are using that possibility. Remember that in enterprise, first of all, Windows is Windows, and Mac does not have much penetration. Why? Because Microsoft offers such a variety of services and cloud services that are all, interconnected. That Windows is the point where you need to be, where you connect and have all of the services available. And that's why Windows has always been the favorite among business, because it has all of these tools that business need. That's what Windows is. It's, first and mostly a enterprise grade operating system, where Mac OS is and Mac computers are more pushed and oriented at two markets: education, schools, and consumers. And Windows and Mac cannot be compared. Why? Because Apple computers and Mac computers, it's hardware. They make the hardware. They want to sell computers because that's what makes money. The operating system doesn't give them money. It's really you buying a PC, a Mac PC. On Windows, it's really Windows itself, the license sold, that makes the money for Microsoft. There is a decline that goes with the PC sale decline. But remember, what the numbers of the market share didn't show is that the decline is also in the Mac computers. And if we look at, yes, there were that market share did rise. One thing to note is that year over year, only about 8% of PCs sold were Macs. 92% of them were all going towards Windows. Or we could say a subset, a small amount could have been hardware purchased to have Linux installed, definitely. But 92% was something else. And that is something to think about. Where if you want to have a Apple or a Mac computer really gain momentum and be a competition to Windows, it would have to sell more. It doesn't. And so it shows that we're seeing simply a little more momentum, but we're not. It's not in competition. I think Windows is still going to be there, but there's more choices now, and people know that you can go to a Mac, and there's Chromebooks out there, and a lot of people are going to their devices. All of that together is mixing. It's like a big melting pot. It's all is mixing together, and people now have more choice than, say, in 2000. When we arrived at the year 2000. You were a Windows or a Mac person, and Mac was very, very small. It barely made 5% of the market share back then. Linux is not something we were really talking about much. We talk about it a little more today, but it's still a small percentage. 3% is nothing. And, every time somebody comes back to me and says, well, Chromebooks are Linux and this is Linux and Android is, I don't care. We're not talking about that. We're talking about Linux on a desktop, and it's not gaining, and 3% is 3%. It's nothing much more than 2.5% that was a year ago or 2 years ago. It's just basic numbers. There isn't a market share gain It's more of a flat thing for Linux. It's always been like that. And there's Linux enthusiasts, and that's fine. It's fun to play with some Linux distros and all of that. But I don't think Windows will go away. Windows is still going to be here in 5 and 10 years, but there'll be some choices out there, and maybe Microsoft could just look at the slight gain that Apple did get and see what do we do from here. And remember that Microsoft Windows, even though still bringing in a couple of billions of dollars a year, it's not the main business of Microsoft. That's not where Microsoft is. And what it is, it's successful at it. Everything cloud and Office and Enterprise. It does a great job at that. But Windows is still and will be part of all of this in the future. So there will be a Windows 12 and 13 and 14 and 15 probably. But it's going to be interesting to see what that brings in the next, say 10 years. Will I still be here talking about this in 10 years? I don't know. But it is interesting to think about it. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.